Hey y'all, how's it going? I do need to come up with a special intro for the podcast. I guess that fits with what the podcast is about. That's the whole reason that became part of my channel is to check in on people, see how they're going and stuff, and that's what that means, like checking in on everybody and everything. That works well with mental health. Um, Welcome to the first official episode of the podcast. I've done both a stream previously and the episode 0 explaining what I want the podcast to be. This is the first actual episode I'm getting out. I want to start getting episodes out at the very beginning of every month. Probably I'll set a date and you'll see whichever day this comes out of, like the first Monday or something. We can do something like that. We'll see. I'm going to try to keep up with it. I know this first few episodes, maybe, depending on if I can get everything I want in this episode or if I'm going to have to do a second one. The first, when I'm talking about myself, it's going to be very hard, I know, because I might even talk about things I've never thought of before or never really talked about before, so sorry if I start tearing up or crying, and if there's actual cuts in this one. I'm trying not to do too many cuts in the podcast because I want to be open, honest with y'all, just tell y'all what's on my mind, let y'all see the genuine feelings and stuff there, and I think if I'm cutting a lot, then I'm taking a lot of that out of it. So even like some pauses and stuff might be in there, hopefully not any long ones. But I might cut parts out if I'm like, if it becomes too hard or if I need to take a break. This one might be broken up into different parts. I jotted down some notes of the things I want to talk about. Because I think talking about myself. At least this episode is going to be just me. At some point, I want to just have guests on, and that's why it's just me on the podcast right now, and I don't have a partner or anything. With podcasts, I think it's usually best to have two people. But my plan is to always have somebody on, you know? So, the first little bit, I want to talk about myself, let y'all know about me, let y'all know what I've gone through and what my experiences are so you understand where I'm coming from and maybe you can relate a little bit and understand, like, what I'm talking about in my experiences that have caused those things and everything. And then I want to have some guests on. I talked about this in episode 0 for the first few episodes to talk about their experiences with me. Growing up or now or just through everything I've gone through before I start getting people on to talk about their own experiences or their views on the outside of it or whatever. So it's going to grow and change, but I think getting y'all I can't think of the word for summer, familiar with my experiences and people's views of what I've gone through and stuff for the first few episodes, I think will be very important for down the road for y'all to understand what where I'm coming from and stuff with it. And I think it also helps to know that like you're not alone. Other people go through with what you go through. Even if my experiences are going to be slightly different, nobody's are all the same, and the calls for it's not the same for everybody, and the way you react to it, the way you handle it's different for every single person. I talk about it, I'm open about it, it helps me. Some people it helps them not to. Like it's different for everybody, and I understand. But I don't know if I should just start from the beginning of my life and just explain each step in my life and then maybe go back and talk about how it affected me. Or how it affects me now. I'm still learning so much about myself too, like even just yesterday I was realizing something like about my mental health, and like for a long time I wasn't learning anything. Now it feels like almost weekly I'm learning something new about how my brain works and my mental health and stuff. And I try to put those out in the shorts, which are going to become like podcast adjacent shorts, or I might take cuts from the podcast, so keep an eye out on the shorts as well. I guess where I should start is I guess I'll start from the beginning with something. The beginning for me obviously is my dad leaving when I was a kid. I was too young to remember when he left my mom, and like I never thought it affected me. Still feel like it's like it doesn't affect me in my day to day, but I do think it affects me and how I feel about certain things. Like I have this overarching feeling of people not wanting me feeling kind of abandoned at times and stuff. And I think part of it does stem from that, even though in my adult life I have made the decision to not talk to him, and like it never felt like it affected me growing up that much. I think in the back of my mind, this feeling that I get sometimes with feeling like unwanted, like nobody wants me in their life and stuff. I think that starts there, you know. And while other things have happened to also add to that, that's where it started to snowball. If you notice, I'll say snowball a lot when it comes to mental health, because I think that's how mental health works. I think things tend to build up upon themselves until you can stop the snowball from growing. It's going to keep growing. Even if, like I talk about all the time with my anxiety, it snowballs. So my anxiety triggers more anxiety. And I can't reset the snowball until I fully calm down, and anything that I'm having anxiety about is broken up, and I just forget about it for a little bit, and then the snowball resets and builds on itself again. And it starts to get worse and worse, and the anxiety gets worse and worse. I think it happens with my depression as well. So I'll mention the snowball a lot. And I think this also caused a lot of snowballing issues, even though in itself I never felt anything about it. I never felt like I can, the only memory I really have, I have like one of him in person. He was visiting me because he lived across the country. He was visiting me during the summer for a little bit, and it was my brother's birthday, and my brother was going to Chuck E. Cheese with his dad. We had different dads. So I wanted to go join my brother on his birthday, and I came back home to my dad's bags being packed and him leaving, and that was the last time I saw him, I believe. In my memory, that's the last time I saw him. I believe it was actually the last time I saw him. And then when I was like 13, that was like the next time I remember talking to him. He wanted to buy me a bunch of stuff, so he bought me some like Patriots gear and stuff. And we talked regularly for like maybe a month or two. I don't remember exactly how long. I know I texted him a little bit about stuff and everything. And then at one point he asked me for money, and I was like, yeah, no, this is done. And then the only other time he tried to contact me after I graduated from basic training, and then it's like, yeah, no, that's okay. You could contact me any other time. You're waiting until you know I'm in the military, and I don't know. It just felt off to me. It's like, no, I'm not. And then with how he did with my mom, with my child support and stuff, I don't even think. I think I was like in my mid-20s before he fully paid child support. So, at times I'm glad he wasn't a part of my life, because who he seems to be to me. I mean, if he was okay leaving my life like that, I shouldn't want him here. But I do think it still affected me in the back of my mind, and still does to this day. Like, I have fears of people leaving me, and fears of being alone and abandoned and stuff. And I think a lot of it starts there. You know, if I look back at it, even though it doesn't feel like it affects me, like I said, if I look back at it, it has to, right? Next. Should I don't know which of the next two things happen first. Also don't know how comfortable I am talking about one of them, and that's weird for me, you know, because I so open on the channel and talking about stuff and everything. But we'll go to, I guess I'll start with this one because it feels like it. They both happen around the same time, just kind of separately. It was like third grade. I had to switch schools in third grade, and when I went to the new school, obviously you have to make new friends and stuff. And I felt like at the previous school, like a lot of people liked me. I had a lot of friends. Like, we'd go out in the playground for recess and stuff, and I feel like I hung out with a decent amount of people. Like, always had a lot of fun. I saw this thing like a year or two ago from back then. It was like kindergarten or first grade, and people had to like write down things about you, and like the things were like really nice about me. It was like, and then I recognized like I used to hang out with a lot of these people at school and stuff and be friends with a lot of them. It was like, but then in third grade I switched schools and didn't have as many friends. Was kind of on the outside, and then when I did start trying to make friends and stuff, I started getting people would like make fun of me and pick on me, and like I would be accepted into certain groups through middle school. Even I remember people. I think about this time in middle school where this group of people would let me sit at their table. Like I would often have to sit by myself during lunch because the tables would fill up, and like I was never one person that they wanted at the tables with them. So there was a table that I would sit out by myself. Every once in a while, there's this one. At some point, it wasn't every once in a while. There was this one group of people that would let me sit with them. Um, and I felt like I was friends with some of them. I would talk to a lot of them like on AIM and stuff online outside of school, and like I would hang out with a lot of them outside of school. But a few of them would like, would like. I remember somebody leaving a whole plate of ranch just sitting in my chair because I stood up for something and sat right back down. Somebody pulled the chair out from under me, and then like this stuff was happening. Like I understand if it's a joke, but like it was happening to me, but they weren't doing it to other people. So at the time, I didn't really think of anything of it, but when I like look back on it, it felt like I was really getting picked on. And in elementary school, I would definitely get picked on a lot. And stuff like that was done to me, or weird nicknames were made up for me for no reason. And while I didn't feel like it affected me that much back then, looking back on it, I think I did, because while there's something else that happened around this time that I'll get into, that was around the time when you can start seeing the decline, where I wasn't just always happy, because when I was younger, I felt like I was happy a lot, and I think that's kind of when I started seeing the decline, and I started feeling like an outsider, like I didn't fit in and stuff, more than once that all started happening. Luckily, later on in high school and stuff, I stopped getting picked on as much, and like I never felt like part of a group, but I still had friends. I never felt like people were accepting me to like pick on me and stuff by that point. I'll get into that too, but there was still other stuff going on at then. And yeah, so that really, like, even to this day, I think things that were said to me and done like still affect my anxiety and my desire to fit in and be liked and stuff might stem from that. And things that happen that we'll get into. I'm saying a lot, I'm sorry. Whew. Okay. Also during this time, when I was 8 years old, this went on for like every once in a while for a few months. I don't think it was quite a year, but the son of my babysitter at the time started assaulting me, and at the time I didn't realize how badly it was affecting me, and I think part of me was started blaming myself for a while, but I think as I grew up, it started affecting me more and more, until because I didn't even realize what had happened until I was like 17 or 18 years old, and looking back on it, I was like, oh, this definitely was this, At first, like, I didn't really see it that way. But then looking back on it down the lines, like, oh, this definitely was this. And definitely messed with me, and it probably messed with me more than I realize now. Like, there's certain ways that, like, I see it affecting me, but like it's I think there's ways that are still there that I haven't figured out yet, I don't really know if there's much more I need to say on that topic. So I guess we go to like I'll go to like back to not fitting in and feeling out on the outside and stuff. Something I go back to a lot is like when I'm talking to chat and stuff about summer, and like people so excited for summer break from school and stuff. I remember I used to hate it because, especially in like middle school and stuff, my brother would go with his dad for a few months, right? And then I'd be at home, but I didn't really hang out. Like, none of my friends from school I wouldn't really hang out with any of them during the summer. I'd try to, but nobody would ever get back to me, and like I'd have nobody go see during the summer and stuff. I feel like it changed. I can't remember the exact year it changed. It changed at some point, but I remember back to this point was like I was in class. It was English class, and I remember my teacher asking everybody if they're excited for summer. I was like, no. She was like, why not? I was like, because I know I'm not going to be able to hang out with anybody or see anybody. And somebody's like, no, you're going to be able to hang out with me all the time. And then I never talked to that person the whole summer. I feel like that happened a lot, and that was something that always messed with me too. It's like I have these friends that I hang out with a lot during the school year and see all the time, and I would hang out with them outside of school during the school year and stuff. But then summertime comes, and it's like I felt I was alone a lot and didn't really have those people to hang out with, and like I hated it because I was just inside and felt alone. Loneliness is going to be a big big thing here, by the way. Even though like I'll get into it. I did a short on it. You can go check that out. I think I explains it pretty well too. But yeah, that happened a lot then, and then I think stemming kind of from that and feeling on the outside and stuff, I started to change in the way that I would go about. Like my grades started to drop because I would take any opportunity to go hang out with somebody. So if like people are like, hey, let's go play football, I'm like, I'm not doing my homework, I'm going to play football, because I didn't want to miss out on anything, because I wanted to be a part of the groups and I wanted to have these people that I could consider friends and stuff. And to this point, I don't know, like even to this point I've never felt like I was somebody's best friend, you know, somebody like first choice to hang out with or talk to about something. I don't think to that point like I was ever that person. Even now, like looking back, I don't think I was ever that person to anybody. And I think that affected me a lot, so I would want to always be there and never miss out on anything, so I could always be a part of this stuff and be part of the groups and have the stories to tell, because I'm so bad at conversation without those stories to tell about things, or remembering things that we did together and stuff. It's like, so I'll tell the same stories over and over again, because I was like, I've hung out with you twice, so I'm just going to bring up the two things we've done, because I don't really know what to talk about. So there was a lot of fear of missing out on stuff, and so my grades started dropping everything, and I stopped. But this is also around, okay, I'll go back to something else since we're talking about grades and stuff. First grade? I think it was first grade. I'll have my mom on at some point, and she'll be able to remember the times a little bit better about this stuff. I remember going to the doctor and then wanting to put me on medication for ADHD, but I didn't want to. So they decided if my grades got brought up, that I wouldn't have to be on it. So I ended up getting straight A's, because for a long time, I was scared of medication. I don't know if I was scared of being addicted to it or what, but I didn't want to be put on anything, because I wanted to be in the right state of mind, didn't want to be addicted to anything. So I fought against that. I regret that now, because I took an ADHD test when I was in the Army, and it came back saying I didn't have it, but I don't, like, for me, I don't think the test was like, they put me in a closet with one computer, no distractions, sit there and take an IQ test. Like, and I did too well on the IQ test, so I guess they said I didn't have it, but I still feel it. Like, y'all heard me discuss, like, what I go through with my attention, and we'll probably have a whole episode talking about it, but, I don't think those things happen to, people without issues with it, you know? But yeah, so I feel like that started kicking a lot more too, and around middle school. I remember in 7th grade I failed a class, but I got a perfect score on my standardized test that we had to take once a year for each of our classes in my English class. And I remember it was like, obviously I knew the stuff if I got a perfect score on the test. My mom still brings this up, so that's how I remember it so well. But so they passed me, even though I failed the class because of that. But I would sleep through that class and get distracted. I would doodle a lot. I did this thing where I would do military battles, like sketched up like on paper, where like the circles were like land forces, the triangle were like planes and stuff like that. And I would That was the only year I did that. That was weird. But I would do that in class a lot, and that class particularly, I remember doing it. Also, that's the same year I started skipping my SAT prep class to go play football and stuff. With the PE class, so I'd go to both PE. I go to PE twice. And I got in a lot of trouble for that. Just because I wanted to go like hang out with those people and be with those people and like not miss out, you know? I'm trying to think, what should I talk about next? Because I'm trying to stay kind of in an order. I feel like I've done pretty well. But I can't think of anything, because next would be like 8th grade year, right? Towards the end of 8th grade year, I can talk about this. I did start becoming friends with people that I wasn't really particularly trying to become friends with previously. Like people I didn't see as friends were starting to be like, hey, Christian, like, and I was like, this is the people. So I started to realize that those are the people I needed to hang out with instead of trying to fit into other groups. Even though none of these people were like into the same things I was or anything, it was still nice to feeling accepted and stuff. I made one friend that was into anime, and me and him started hanging out a lot more too. That was nice because that was something I was really into. Still am, obviously. You know, have a shirt on. I guess now would be that's also when I first my first like relationship was around then. None of them ever lasted long back then. During the summer between 8th grade and 9th grade, I was in a relationship with somebody for like a month, and then it ended after them trying to date me for like a long time. It was like most of the school year. I was like, okay, and then like they broke up with me over Facebook, which I don't think that really affected me, but I figured I'd bring it up. And then we go to my freshman year, where a lot started to happen. Because of I never fully played football. Went through practices and stuff, but I injured my back. I like pulled a muscle in it and then just decided to stop going, even though I was only out. I would have only been out for a little bit, but I had made friends through that, and started hanging out with people through that. And those did feel like people who really the friends I made through football and stuff felt like people who even though we didn't enjoy the same stuff or weren't into a lot of the same stuff, they cared. They seemed to genuinely care about me. So that was nice. And then I became friends. Boy, I was talking about in 8th grade, somebody I had become friends with that, like 6th grade, I remember she didn't like me, and I didn't really like her and stuff, and then we didn't become friends in 8th grade because she had moved near me, and we were on the bus, and she was like, hey, Christian, come sit with me, and then we became friends through that. And we became closer and closer through that time to where I would have considered her one of my better friends. She told me, I remember this freshman year, we were at lunch, I was like, have you seen my sister? Because there was another friend that we would call each other brother and sister, and she was like, Christian, you're like a brother to me. I didn't know you had a sister. I was like, oh no, I just call her but I remember her saying that to me. So we became closer and good friends. I remember walking home from school, and it was like a long walk with her and just talking about stuff at times. It's probably the first person I really ever talked to about mental health, I think, because we were walking home from school one time and talking about how we felt like we didn't fit in certain situations and stuff. The reason I'm bringing her up, though, is she ended up passing away freshman year in a car accident, and I think that was the first time I truly felt like I lost someone, you know? Like, there was someone in my life that, like, when they were gone, it felt like I had lost something from my life. And yeah, it really affected me at first. I don't know how much impact it has on me now, obviously, but I feel like it did have a huge impact on me then. Another story about her, I got into a fight, let's say. I had somebody trying to fight me. I kept grabbing him, putting him in a headlock or whatever, and a girl came up behind me and hit me, and she turned around, and the friend that I was talking about just hit her back. I was like, you're not. So that's something else I remember. Is like, uh, so that was felt like somebody I was close with that I had lost. Mm. It was the first person that I felt like I had lost, like truly that really hit me that I can think of currently. I've definitely lost since, but yeah, I can't think of anything that impacted me that hard before that point. And then this is the year like I started really doing stuff like I would start skipping classes to for more fear of missing out, I guess. Also didn't enjoy school, which has always been said to me that it was too easy for me, so I found it boring is what everybody tells me from the outside, but I don't know if that's why. Maybe it is and I just don't recognize it, you know? Maybe that's something that's hard to recognize as the person in the situation. Uh, but it was I did find it really like I liked being around people and stuff, but the classes I just felt like I wasn't getting much out of them. So I started skipping a lot and wouldn't go to school as much. And I think a lot of it also was just to be with the people that were skipping, just feel like I was fitting in with the group and not miss out on stuff and be um somebody that could fit in. And do still have regrets aren't good, and I try to get rid of them. And I feel like I'm in a pretty decent place in life now. But it was really I feel like I had to put in a lot of effort to get here, and I feel like if I tried harder in school, like you can look back and like I got A's in my AP classes, but then failed like regular classes. Like there was something there, you know, that if I would have tried harder, I would have maybe the path would have been easier and maybe would have been better on my mental health and stuff through the military and everything that I had to go through, which I only went through because of getting kicked out of school and stuff, which we'll get to. Should I just do school and then adult life in two episodes? Maybe. But yeah, I started doing that a lot. I started dating often, I would say. Back then I would constantly be in a relationship with somebody, like all the time. I don't know. I think that also comes along with being lonely. I don't know where it comes from, but even to this day, I have this need to be talking to people all the time, and I understand that can be a lot of pressure on people and hard to hear back from people. Like as soon as like I understand like people can't constantly be there and be talking to me because people have their own lives, but it's also I think it impacts me a lot to like when I get really excited about something and I try to talk to somebody and I don't hear it from anybody for like a whole day. I think that really gets to me even now. But it was also back then it's like I need this constant, like I had friends that I would talk to on the phone at night and just fall asleep talking to them and stuff. Just be on the phone talking to people all the time. And luckily back then there were people who could do that, who wanted to do that as well. I didn't have to like force that upon people. I remember a couple of people that they started it. Like there was one friend of mine, she would call me like she started calling me at nights, and I was like, she started calling me at nights and we would just talk till we fell asleep. But I think it's a lot there. I still remember my one of my friend's moms a few years ago. It was after I got out of the army. I remember that I was by his house and I was talking to her, and she was like, "I'm surprised you. I always thought you were gonna be the first one to get married. You were She said I was a. She didn't mean it negatively, but she said I was a man whore in high school. So she was like, I thought you'd be the first one to get married. And I think a lot of that just stems from, like, I could say there were people that I would start relationships with that I would only do it because I knew they wanted to be in a relationship with me, even though I didn't want to be in one. This was the most common thing. There was one person that wanted to be in a relationship with me, and I said I didn't want to. She started crying, so then I ended up doing it. So, sorry I'm not looking at the camera that much. This is weird to me to talk about and be this open about. But yeah, so that happened a lot, and then I got to this point where I was going online on this website, called My Yearbook, and meeting people, and just so I had constant people to talk to and stuff. And like now I realize, like back then I didn't think of anything of it, but now I realize like it was my need to constantly be talking to people and constantly maybe be needed, maybe be wanted. I don't know. Maybe just to not feel alone. Maybe all of it. Who knows? Something I'll hopefully figure out someday. Because loneliness is still a big thing with me, even though I have like some of the best friends and family I could ask for. Feels like there's something missing a lot. Um, but even at this time, like I didn't have a lot of, because this will become something in the future, so I'll mention it here because it's something I recently found out. Even at this time, I didn't have a lot of people in my life that enjoyed a lot of the same things I do. Like there was a lot of like partying and all that types of stuff. Going out, I don't even till this day, but obviously going out was different back then. But I would go do stuff like go to the ice skating ring just because it was what everybody did, but I didn't enjoy doing stuff like that. I like to hang out, chill with friends, and watch anime or play a board game or play a sport back then. Now I can't really do that, but um so even then like I kind of had that same thing I do now, so where it's like I don't have somebody that enjoys the same stuff I do. The nerd culture stuff I'm into, or like I like going to really nice restaurants and enjoying food. I don't have anybody to really do that with these days, and all that types of stuff. I didn't really have anybody to do this stuff that I enjoyed with me that would enjoy it with me. Um, and so I think that impacted me a lot too. Is like I constantly needed to be talking to people about because I could find somebody into one thing, or something. Maybe that was a lot to do with it. Or I might have found it harder, needed more people because there was nobody that filled that void. Even though this is something I should that kind of leans into then and now. The current best friends that I have, most of them I met back then. One of them, one of my friends I met in middle school that we're still friends. Still one of my best friends. I just saw him 2 days ago, but he lives away right now because he's married. It's like 90-minute drive or whatnot, but still one of my best friends. I still text him 2-3 times a week and we talk about stuff. And then my freshman year, I met. Well, we officially became friends. We had met previously playing football or whatnot, but I met somebody else who's one of my best friends now. He's the person I get to go to about my mental health and stuff and talk to because he also experiences a lot of things. So it's somebody that I talk about a lot, somebody that understands, so I don't have to try to explain stuff because so much of it you can't put into words. So he's one of those people for me even to this day, and we became friends my freshman year of high school. So it's been like 16 years. And then I feel like I'm forgetting somebody for some reason. Then my roommate, at first he didn't really like me, but we ended up becoming friends. He's brothers of the first person I talked about and best friends with the second person. So eventually he got to know me and stuff, and we actually became good friends too, one of my best friends. So these are all people I met while back in school and became good friends with them. So it's nice to have built on those, but they're still like we don't have much in common and we can't go do those things. Like go to the conventions that I go to all the time and stuff. But I'll get into that because that's a recent thing that I've been forced to come to a realization of, and I'll explain why maybe in another episode because I don't know how long I want to make these. I don't even know if people are going to make it this far because all I'm doing is talking about myself. I'm sure there's people out there who want to know though, so I'm still trying to think of school because I was thinking maybe split it into a during school and after school, like after I graduated type thing. I don't think there's much more. I can say some things that feels like it impacted me. Maybe a little bit. Something. And third grade, I remember my teacher telling me, I don't remember how he worded it, but it came off to me like he was calling me a prodigy in math. Don't ever do that to a kid. That puts so much unneeded pressure on somebody. That affects you into your adult life because if you don't do what they say they think you can do, then you constantly feel underachieving. And I feel like that a lot. Underachieving. Something else I talk about that for some reason I remember this moment in 7th grade. I was taking my geometry standardized test, the test I was talking about before, and they were like, Christian, geometry. And somebody was like, I think you have the wrong person. He's not smart. And I don't know why that always impacted me. It's like, maybe I'm underachieving if people don't recognize it, or maybe I didn't want people to know. Who knows? But I was proud of it. I'm proud of it to this day. I think I over talk about it at times because I want people to know. But maybe it's that moment that's like, that's why I want people to know. Who knows? So yeah, there's something else I was leading to when I got into that. Oh, I had it. This one doesn't. I think it's gonna sound meaner than it was, but this one's like something that I'll show y'all someday. The thing I'm about to bring up, I might have the wording wrong, but this one had actually a positive impact on me rather than a negative. My actual favorite teacher in school, she was I had her for 2 years for a reason of getting kicked out of a class and then having to take an online English class. So I'd go in her classroom to take the online English class. And then I had her my senior year, so she already knew me. So we had fun. She poked fun at me the first day in class because she was like, it was honors English. She was like, you shouldn't be in honors. Go to AP now. I was like, I don't want to. She's like, you don't belong in here. And then she would poke fun of me throughout the year. She's like, and she'd tell the class, she would be like, yeah, he should be an AP. Tell him he needs to be an AP, like to the whole class and stuff, and just make fun of me the whole time, kind of in a joking way, which helped me, believe it or not. And then she wrote in my yearbook, she was like, you might be one of the smartest people I ever taught, but one of the laziest. And then my AP government teacher circled that and was like, can I just put the same thing? And that seems like it might be mean or something that had a negative impact, but I think it had a positive impact. Because it made me realize that that's who I am. And laziness I do not think is the right term. I think I have to find something I'm truly interested in. I don't have a drive. Even if I'm passionate about something and I really want to do something, it's hard for me to push myself to do it at times. And I don't think it's through laziness. It's not that I want to rest. It's more so the anxiety like holding me back, of getting started on something or pushing to do something. Or just the lack of energy that I have all the time. It takes me hours to be able to do anything in the morning to wake up. And then I need to wind down at night, but even then I don't have energy. I have a few hours throughout the day where I feel like I can truly put my full self out there and do stuff. So it's hard, even if I do care about something and I want to do something and I have a passion to do something, it's not easy. That's what YouTube surprised even me, the fact that I've been able to do this for so long on my own without anything forcing me to do it. And with how much I put into it, I'm sure y'all see with how much I do and how much I put into it. I underestimate how much I do sometimes, and I'm hard on myself about it, but it surprised me because I do have this, I've always had this struggle to push myself to do stuff, even if I truly want to do it. So now I decide, do I keep the rest for the next episode? I think I will. I think the episode's a little shorter than I want these episodes to be, but I don't think it's too bad. So I think from there I'll kind of hop into when I first went to college and then through the military and stuff, and I was gonna say it's less time, but it's not that much less time than the beginning was about. Because if you think about from where I could actually remember stuff that happened to being 18 on, it's not that much different. But then I'll go through all that in the next one. So if you're interested in it, please come by. After that, so this is going to take 2 episodes, it seems. I think that's the best way to do it, is just break it down by the years and stuff. And then I think I've been talking about how it currently impacts me anyway. So I don't have to get into how overall it's impacting me and stuff, because I think I've been going through that along the way. So yeah, I think after that I'll start having people on and everything. Whatever day of the week this is and the month, so if it's the first Monday, that's when I'm gonna do it. I'm thinking Mondays just because I can do alliteration, like, hey, it's Mental Health Monday, and put the podcast out. But if you have any suggestions, leave them out down below. If you have anything you're curious about, please comment. I'm very much an open book. There is very few things that I am unwilling to talk about, if anything. I think being open helps me. I think it helps other people because they see that I'm going through what they're going through. They see that I'm me, I'm where I am, even though I'm open about this, and it's not. There's nothing negative about it. Something that sticks with me from the military, which I'll get into the full details of everything later. But I was going to see a psychiatrist one time, and my NCO was like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "I'm going to see my psychiatrist." He's like, "Just say you're going to an appointment." I was like, "No, because then that looks like I'm trying to hide where I'm going, you know? I don't need to hide where I'm going because there's nothing wrong with it. I'm struggling with an illness and I'm going to get help for the illness. There's no reason I need to hide that." And I think me talking about it and people seeing where I am, even though I am open about it, can help them. Even though many people might think that I'm saying it for attention or or something like that. Just, I don't know. And people might have a negative feeling about the fact that I do it, but I do it, one, because it does help me to talk about it, because it helps me learn stuff about myself that I wouldn't without talking. I guess it's a form of therapy for me. And I do think it could help other people and helps get rid of that negative stigma that has been on mental health for far too long that should not exist, because everybody goes through stuff and everybody's impacted differently. Even the exact same thing happening to two people could be way harder on one person than another because our brains work different. Chemicals are different in our brains. Chemicals are different from what we eat. Like, there's so much that impacts it that even just, I always hate, like, oh, I went through this, well, I went through this, well, mine was worse. Like, no, it's different things impact people differently. The same thing impacts different people differently. So you can never know what someone's going through just because of one thing. And I don't think we need to try to say that somebody's experiences are worse, or what they're going through is worse, or their mental health's worse, or say somebody shouldn't feel the way that they feel, because it's not a should or shouldn't. It's happening, and we need to help each other get through it, and not allow each other to suffer, and do our part to not have that there. And because we don't look that negatively upon other illnesses, so we shouldn't have one here. So I forgot why I got into that talk. I think I was saying why I think talking about it. But so yeah, next episode will be my adult life, pretty much, just to get through that. Like I said, any questions down below, I will answer. If you have a question about something I talked about in this episode, I'll answer it and try to explain maybe why it impacted me or something. And I think that's it. If you have anything you want to talk about, let me know down below too. I'm not a therapist. I cannot straight up answer your questions like I'm medically. I've not gone to school for it. I know from my own experiences and the few classes I've taken on it, and the research I've done on it. Because when I feel something, I look it up and do a bunch of research to try to help better understand. When I start realizing something, I had to do it yesterday. I spent like an hour and a half reading articles on something because I was thinking about it. So best I can do is tell you this is the way I handle this stuff, because I am not. I will tell you my experience with it, how I feel about a certain situation, and how it impacts me, and what helps me with it. And I think none of that is medical advice. It's just telling you my own experience, and maybe that can help you. That's the way I worry that people think I talk about myself when I do that. I'm trying to talk about myself when I do that, but no, it's just I feel like the best way that I can help, because that's what helps me the best. And I know not everybody's the same, so I try to adjust based off the person. But that's my first step, is to do that, and that's what I'm doing here, and that's what this is gonna be. So hopefully it does help you. Please hit the like button, leave comments down below. I will be back in a month with the next episode. I'm sorry. I love you all, and I hope to see you back here next time.